Viewer discretion is advised.
I wanted to prove that there are fucked up, stupid men on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
So I have found someone who is basically Trump, but on the left.
Great. I love it.
Not quite as fucking dumb.
Right.
But
just still bad.
But corrupt and narcissistic and authoritarian. But on the left. Okay. So Huey Pierce Long
Lewis
Jr.
and the news. Sorry.
So Huey Long, if you've heard of him.
Yeah. Got it.
Was born on August 30th, 1893 in a small town in central Louisiana called Winfield.
He was born 1893. That's like less than 30 years before Helen. That's like 20-something years before Helen.
Your unit of measurement.
I'm doing math. 1917 minus 1893 is 24 years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
She old.
Goodbye.
So the region that Long grew up in was poor and had recently been notable for being a strongly Union area of an otherwise Confederate state, fucking Louisiana. Although Long would later claim that he had been raised in poverty in a log cabin, he actually grew up in a farmhouse and his family was relatively well off compared to all of their neighbors.
Oh my God.
But he had to embellish a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta meet folks where they're at.
Yeah.
Down in the dirt.
So Lil Huey was homeschooled until age 11, which
Lil
explains
Huey.
everything.
Oh, never homeschooling. No, I'm sorry. Hot take. Absolutely not. Never met a normal homeschooled person.
I have not either. After which he entered the public school system where he excelled academically but was expelled after just a few years for distributing flyers critical of his teachers and various school policies.
I mean, you would get expelled for that.
Yeah, you really
That's got Kenyon written all over it.
Yeah.
Down to the flyer making.
Yeah.
Your collaging skills really would have come into play here.
Love me a good flyer.
You do.
After his expulsion, he worked as a traveling salesman. He was like 13.
Goat balls. Goat balls.
He's giving me real Schmeil Schmeen vibes.
Yes.
Oh my God. He's totally Schmeil Schmeen.
Yeah.
Hi, Schmeil.
Hi, Schmeil. Schmeil.
Schmal. So he worked as a traveling salesman. I'm just picturing him so little doing that.
I'm only
Little
picturing
hat.
13-year-old Schmeil Schmeen going like selling vacuums door to door in Excelsior.
Between several brief stints attending 3 different colleges. So the fact that he was like kicked out of grade school like didn't matter and you could just like go to college at 16.
It was the 1800s.
Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't care. Early 1900s now.
Right.
He began dating a woman named Rose McConnell, and after a couple of years, the two married. However, their wedding was a bit of an awkward affair as Long had no cash on him to pay the officiant and had to ask to borrow $10 from his bride at the altar.
$10 is a steal. No. I am much more expensive than that.
Well, it was 100 years ago.
Right. My prices are competitive. They're fair.
Fail.
My prices are fair.
Fail.
I don't know why I have to.
Louisiana.
Oh,
You
right.
are possessed.
I'm constantly possessed by spirits.
You love that chicken from Popeyes.
I do love that chicken from Popeyes. I fucking love it. It's so good.
So Long decided to spend a semester studying law, but of the 4 classes he took, he received 3 C's and 1 incomplete.
Same. Literally, where did you get my transcript? Because, hi.
Nonetheless, he managed to pass the bar at age 21.
Jeez.
Because you could just take the bar. You didn't have to actually graduate law school.
No, you just have to walk past a bar, and that's passing the bar in the 1800s.
With the right wig.
Early 1900s. Right.
With the right wing.
He then set up a private practice where he represented poor plaintiffs and was eventually elected to the Louisiana Public Service Commission. This meant working on much more high-profile cases, such as prosecuting large corporations like Standard Oil. A case in which he prosecuted the Cumberland Telephone and Telegraph Company for unfair rate increases went all the way to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And William Howard Taft called him, quote, the most brilliant lawyer who ever practiced before the United States Supreme Court. And he was in his, like, early 20s.
Okay, Taft. The guy didn't even... Okay, yeah, no.
Yep. He was a good talker. Long began to make a name for himself as a progressive anti-corporate Democrat. But again, remember, this is the 1920s in Louisiana. So he's like a Southern Democrat. But his personal finances told a slightly different story. He had money invested in multiple independent oil companies, and his cases against Standard Oil were often on behalf of the companies that he stood to personally benefit from.
Oh, weird.
So he was like taking down big oil.
As the personal lawyer for less big oil.
Yes. Literally,
For
yes.
slightly
Medium
less
oil.
big oil. Medium oil.
Yes. 1,000%.
What a fucking Looney Tune. But, like, in that day and age, you could get away with shit like that
You can get away
way
with
longer.
that shit now.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody gives a shit. There are
It's
like
now
no
now
laws.
it's more apathy. Then I feel like, well, it was apathy, and also like we didn't have access to immediate information the way we do now. Now the apathy is so much more because we're inundated with immediate information
all of
the
the
time.
information, and nobody can like mount a outrage campaign longer than like 72 hours.
It's just we're all fucking
72
worst.
hours would be a pretty good run, honestly.
Yeah. So in 1928, when he was like around 35 years old, Huey Long was elected governor of Louisiana after campaigning on a promise to address the state's persistent inequality. His campaign slogan was, quote, every man a king.
I mean, it's catchy.
Every man.
Well, one aspect of Long's legacy that has been debated is the extent to which his politics were racially progressive. Like, for the time. Again, it's the fucking 1920s. At the time, many people believed that they were, as his proposed social program stood to benefit Louisiana's black citizens as well as the white citizens. His opponents used this against him, publishing political cartoons of Long with, gasp, his arms around black people.
Oh, how dare
That
you.
was the entire cartoon.
The smear campaign.
Yeah.
Jesus.
God damn.
However, Long's policies did nothing to address segregation, and he declined to support an anti-lynching law.
Yeah, too polarizing.
Yeah.
God.
Fuck.
So I think this person sums it up best. The civil rights activist Roy Wilkins would later state, quote, my guess is that Huey wouldn't hesitate to throw Negroes to the wolves if it became necessary. Neither would he hesitate to carry them along if the good they did him was greater than the harm.
That is so spot on, and like still how, I mean, Joe Biden did the same shit.
Yeah.
Same shit. Like we
Joe Biden.
will catch a win, quote unquote, on the backs of black and brown people and then leave them completely in the fucking dust.
Yep.
It's just, that's just how it fucking works.
Uh-huh.
That's why it's supremacy for you. It's great.
Everyone's fine. This is a great lighthearted episode.
I'm fucking fine.
Lighthearted. Drink that
Also-
2 p.m. red wine, baby.
I'm getting a little drunk and I'm okay.
As governor, Long did fulfill many of his promises, greatly expanding social programs and instituting large public works projects. But he did so through bullying and corruption.
Oh, my favorite. My favorite.
And despite being a lawyer, complete disregard for the illegality of all of his actions.
Well, he was only a lawyer by walking past the bar.
Yeah. That's what
barely a
lawyers
lawyer.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Law who? Like he just
Law. New law, who dis?
Yeah, he just did whatever.
Should that be my voicemail?
Whatever the fuck he wanted. So one particularly egregious example of this involved Long deploying the National Guard to raid New Orleans' immoral gambling dens and brothels.
Leave my dens alone.
He didn't have any legislative authority to do this.
Or
It
really
was-
any reason to do it. It's
just-
just a political stunt?
It just was what he personally wanted done.
Huh.
So Governor Long reportedly ordered the National Guard members to, quote, shoot without hesitation
Oh my God.
People in a gambling den?
and a brothel
Oh my God.
Ugh.
that he did not have warrants to raid.
Cool.
And these raids resulted in the arrest of numerous sex workers and the burning of gambling equipment, as well as the seizure of over $25,000 that he probably pocketed.
Mm-hmm.
This, despite the fact that New Orleans city authorities had not requested military assistance and martial law had not been declared. It was just a personal whim of the governors.
It's just state-sanctioned violence. Like, this shit is woven into the tapestry of America, baby.
It's like when Trump called
Yep.
in the National Guard to like do
to
his
go to
photo
Portland.
op.
Yep. In DC so that he could clear the church of protesters
Yeah.
to hold up a Bible upside down.
Because he sold his soul to the devil.
And get a hideous fucking picture of his hideous macabre visage.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Long would later sign a bill that allowed all police in Louisiana to make arrests without a warrant.
Oh, good. I mean, if like this sounds really fucking far long ago, but the Supreme Court just supported not like police don't have to legally read you your Miranda rights anymore. That's no longer a requirement.
And border control authorities no longer need a warrant within like 100 miles of the border. Which
Yep.
is like
What?
every major city in America.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So, like, this is all fucking still happening now. Keep yourselves abreast.
Yeah, this is the beginning of fascism. It's fine. Not even beginning. Like,
I mean, we're just
end
on
of stage one.
Right.
We're well on our way.
Stage one's just been real long. Yeah.
In 1929, Long arranged for the governor's mansion to be razed to the ground within 48 hours by convicts from the state penitentiary. So he did this, basically, he didn't like the governor's mansion. And he kind of, under the table asked for funds to replace it and build a new governor's mansion. And the legislature was like, no.
Because he just didn't like the building.
He didn't like the building. And the legislature said no. And so he got a team of convicts from the state pen to raise the mansion to the ground. And then he went back to the legislature and was like, well, I have nowhere to live. So
You gotta build me one.
you got to
So
build me
he
one.
exploited slave labor.
To go expressly against the wishes of the state lawmakers to take funds
himself
from
a
the
new
government
house.
to build himself a new house.
Was he
Okay.
trying to frame this as like arson?
No. It was just like, well, I fucking did it now, so
What are you gonna do? I'm governor. Eat my
I'm
butt.
governor. I got to live somewhere.
Okay.
So to replace it, he had a much larger Georgian mansion built. It bore an uncanny resemblance to the White House,
Wow. Subtle.
something that Long did not deny. There's a photo on the drive.
I love the heavy-handedness.
And he reportedly said about the resemblance, quote, I wanted to be familiar with the residents when I become president.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
What a fucking... That's a lot of cocky for a man with that face. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my God. Why is his Kool-Aid mouth is really...
It's really prominent. He looks like a cartoon in a Mad magazine comic.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does.
personified.
Yeah.
I also just want to point out that Ronald Reagan did something very similar to the California governor's mansion.
I believe that 100%.
Not
So-
surprising.
Oh, I forgot I still had Bill Clinton mummy in my Google searches. Figure that out.
So the replacement of the governor's mansion was unpopular, but Long had gained a reputation for punishing political opponents, firing people at every level of government who did not support him, and even often firing their family members in retaliation,
Wow, nobody's safe.
creating a state government apparatus of people that were either entirely supportive of him or too afraid to say that they weren't. Also, this happens in 1929, so the Great Depression hasn't quite happened yet. Like that happened, I think, in October 29. But then they're basically spending all of this money to build a mansion at the start of the Great Depression.
And Helen had just turned 12.
Oh my God. And my grandfather was born.
Oh. There's such a thing as too old.
Yeah.
Oh, she would if she were alive today, she would completely agree that she was way too fucking old.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1929, Long was impeached, but ultimately not convicted. The impeachment charges were
Kind of like Trump.
numerous.
Yeah.
So these were the impeachment charges. See if you can keep track.
Oh my God.
Attempted bribery of state legislators, demanding and receiving undated letters of resignation from appointees.
This is like a TikTok finger down challenge.
So he
Put a
wa-
finger down if. Okay.
Yeah,
we've
he
got two.
basically made everybody pre-hand in a letter of resignation so that they could just be terminated at any moment.
Oh.
Makes sense.
So it was just like
It's like a prenup. Just make it
Yeah.
easy.
Oh my God.
intimidating publisher Charles P. Manship by threatening to disclose his brother's poor mental condition.
Oh, okay. Exploiting mental health. Got
Yep.
it.
Misappropriating portions of a $6,000 fund allocated for receiving other governors. So,
Okay.
parties to host other governors.
Mm-hmm.
Forcing a state board to dismiss its secretary to open up a position for a political ally, and then paying the incumbent secretary $5,400 in hush money.
Okay. I started to get in the weeds with numbers, but I get it now.
Ignore that the numbers don't actually matter.
Okay. Bribery, hush money. Got it.
Yeah. Illegally paying his cousin $728.25 from the governor's office expense fund.
Okay.
Using a certain amount of money from the office expense fund to purchase personal law books, like for his
Okay.
personal library,
Okay.
which he needed to brush up on, obviously. I'd forgive
We're at
that.
7. We're at 7 bads.
Forcing the Highway Commission to accede to a contractor's demand for $4,000 in payment for their installation of defective curbs.
That's fucking mob level shit. I love it.
Yeah, just like
Jesus.
paying for bad infrastructure work.
Yeah.
And my favorite charge for impeachment, incompetency.
Just in general. Just general incompetency.
I
All
like
right.
that that's the last one, too. Just like, you know what? And another thing.
And another thing.
You're a
We're going to
fucking
slap
idiot.
this on.
His,
All right.
his impeachment trial was a chaotic affair that became known as Bloody Monday. Legislators threw inkwells at each other,
Oh my
in the building.
God.
God, politics has always been such like a bullshit circus of absolute insanity.
Yeah, this sounds like some English Parliament shit.
Yeah.
Attacked each other with brass knuckles.
Oh,
for
my
God's
God.
sakes. But women can't lead.
And
Women are
Long's-
emotional.
Long's brother Earl, who was also a character,
Goodbye, Earl.
bit someone on the neck.
What?
Oh,
Sir.
It was a brawl.
freaks. Oh my God.
They just make America great again.
Following the failed impeachment attempt, Long treated his opponents even more ruthlessly than he had before. Because
Okay.
he's pissed.
Yep. Hell hath no fury like a long
This guy.
scorned.
Yeah. He stated in an interview, quote, "I used to try to get things done by saying please. Now I dynamite them out of my path."
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, old-timey prospector from the Toy Story movie.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations.
Dynamite 'em.
Dynamite 'em.
In 1930, Long was elected to the U.S. Senate, beating out the incumbent Joseph E. Ransdell. Long had campaigned against Ransdell largely by criticizing his age, referring to him repeatedly as old feather duster.
That's kind of funny.
Okay.
That's
that
Joe
I
Biden.
love. Yeah, Joe Biden. Old feather duster.
Old feather duster.
Oh my God.
Gonna need some ointment for that sick burn.
Yeah, such a sick burn.
The New York Times called the campaign as amusing as it was depressing. Which we need stitched on an embroidery thing.
Yeah.
Along with Guantanamo Bay.
Yes. What I like to say about if there are people in my life who I have like maybe a challenging friendship or familial connection with, I will say I love them as much as I hate them, and I love them a lot.
Oh, no.
As challenging as it was depressing.
Oh my God. Okay.
God, that's good.
As amusing as it was
Or
depressing.
as amusing as
our
it was depressing.
show.
Yeah.
This episode.
Oh.
There were
God.
accusations of voter fraud against him. Voting records showed some unlikely names turning out to vote in Louisiana's Senate race.
Oh, are they all dead people?
Charlie Chaplin, Jack Dempsey, and Babe Ruth, none of whom held residency in Louisiana.
What?
At least get other names.
Make up a
Not
name.
Famous people.
Make up a name.
Babe Ruth.
Oh my God.
So, okay.
Classic feather duster.
So remember, he ran for governor, I think, in 1928. He's impeached in 1929, but not convicted. In
Immediately
1930, in 1930, he runs for Senate.
Yes.
my
But he's
God.
already governor. He's only been governor for 2 years. So
no,
why did he
Daddy
run
wants
for Senate?
more. Daddy
No.
wants more.
No. Although he was elected in 1930, Long did not actually assume his Senate seat until 1932, opting to finish out his term as Louisiana governor first. He
That's
left.
not how that works.
Well,
Apparently
it
it
is for Huey.
was then. Well, he was taking advantage of a pre-sale code.
He declared that leaving the Senate seat vacant for 2 years, which he did, nobody sat in that fucking Senate seat, wouldn't make much of a difference because with, quote, Ransdell as senator, the seat was vacant anyway.
I mean, sick burn, but
He
also,
just did it.
come on.
He just did it because he didn't like Ransdell.
Right.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
a
He just
spite
did
run.
it. Yeah, to spite
Yeah.
him, to kick him out.
Oh my God, what a prick.
Can you fucking imagine?
Ugh.
I can't imagine because grosser
I mean-
things have happened in the last 6 months.
A fucking, like, Trump was a spite run.
Yeah.
That man did not want to be president.
No,
No.
it was because of the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Despite his corruption, Long was hugely popular in Louisiana for the social programs he enacted and like his personality. The
He
night,
was always a good time, let me tell you.
the night schools he established were estimated to have taught 100,000 adults to read, and his policy of providing free textbooks to schools was credited with a 20% increase in enrollment.
Okay, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
He had some good
He found
social
a nut.
polities. He was economically pretty progressive, but not
Just a
legal.
shitty person.
Still a prick.
Yeah. During his 4 years as governor, paved highways in Louisiana increased from 331 to over 2,300 miles of paved roads,
Okay.
and 111
Not well
bridges
paved,
were
real
built.
shitty curbs, but
Real shitty curbs. That's
we'll
true.
take it.
However, he had accomplished these feats by entirely ignoring legislative processes, often shouting, "Shut up" or "Sit down" when legislators voiced any concerns.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what? I'm going to start doing that.
Shut
up! Sit down!
Sit down!
You don't know.
God.
Once in the Senate, he became known as a staunch isolationist and an outspoken critic of FDR, whom he had previously supported. Long became a national figure during the Great Depression because of his criticism of the New Deal, but not for reasons you might think. He thought the New Deal was insufficiently radical. Like, he wanted the New Deal to be more expansive, more generous, build more shit, employ more people, which, like, that's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He argued against one portion of the New Deal in a 15-hour and 30-minute filibuster.
We gotta
Ew.
get rid of that fucking thing.
Only the
God.
second longest at the time. Long failed to break the existing record after he, quote, yielded to a call of nature.
Yeah, he had to take a shit.
Yeah. I don't mind the talking filibuster.
Ugh.
It's the current filibuster.
The vague threat of a filibuster, which means you can never vote. It's like, make them actually filibuster. Eventually they'll run out of time, and then you vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't
But
get
that's
the
not how
problem.
we honor it, so we gotta fucking trash it. It's crap.
Yeah. In 1933, Long introduced his own alternative to the New Deal called the Share Our Wealth Plan. His plan included capping personal fortunes at $100 million,
Okay.
limiting annual income to $1 million, and individual inheritances to $5 million, as well as proposals for free college, veterans benefits, public works projects, a guaranteed basic monthly income, and
Wow.
a 30-hour work week.
Okay.
Right?
You know what? I can get behind all of this.
Yeah.
Right? Still, it's 100 years ago, and we are still fighting over this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Long's proposals were widely criticized as impossible, but it's likely that they did push FDR slightly to the left on the second New Deal, so that's good. FDR feared Huey Long and wanted to undercut his popular support and incorporated some of his ideas into his own policies in order to do that. So FDR's fear was warranted, as Long planned to use his Share the Wealth plan to mount a campaign against him for the 1936 presidential election.
Mm.
In 1935, Long wrote a book called a fictional book
Oh.
called My First Days in the White House, which gave a fictional account of what his first 100 days as president would
This
be.
is what I would do. I'm going to write my own. My first days in the White House, the Amanda
kind
Jacobson
of
I
story.
did it.
If I got elected, here's
It's
what
kind
I
of
would
brilliant.
do. Yeah,
The
it's a
O.J.
campaign.
Simpson book.
Yeah.
It's a campaign move.
Yeah. As he continued to maintain control of Louisiana while he was a senator, with his successor as governor essentially being just a puppet who enacted whatever he said. According to one source, Long's regime in Louisiana was, quote, the closest thing to a dictatorship that America has ever known.
Oh.
Mhm. At that point.
Long himself stated in an interview, quote, I'm Mussolini and Hitler rolled into one.
No.
Mussolini force-fed dissidents castor oil. I'll give them Tabasco, and then they'll like Louisiana.
Oh my God. Not a great talking point.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Hashtag assess your idols, sir.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On September 8th, 1935, Long traveled to the Louisiana state capitol to pass a bill that would gerrymander the district of one of his enemies, Judge Benjamin Pavey, who had held his seat for 28 years. At the capitol, Pavey's son-in-law, Carl Weiss, approached Long and fired a single shot with a handgun, hitting Long in the torso.
Oh, fuck.
Long's bodyguards, who he had referred to as his Cossacks or skull crushers,
Oh God.
not a friend of the Jews,
No.
responded by firing Weiss with all their pistols, killing him. So they killed the shooter. An autopsy would later find that Weiss had been shot at least 60 times.
like that unarmed man a couple weeks ago.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he did shoot.
Right. Unlike this unarmed man pulled over for like a traffic violation.
Right. The 60 times.
Right.
Yeah. Little overkill. Little unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Long was rushed to the hospital, but surgery failed to stop the internal bleeding, and he died 31 hours later. He was buried in Baton Rouge.
Dang.
And so FDR won the 1936 election by a landslide because he didn't have this competition to his left. One contemporary source stated that Roosevelt regarded Long's assassination as a, quote, providential occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
But the political machine Long built continued to dominate Louisiana's government for decades. After his death, his brother Earl was elected lieutenant governor in 1936.
I forgot about Earl.
And then governor in 1948 and 1956. Doesn't matter that he bit a lawmaker on the neck in a brawl over his brother's impeachment.
He fucking Edward Cullen'd that motherfucker.
God.
Long's widow, Rose, replaced him in the Senate and served out the remainder of his term, but she didn't run again after it was up. She was just one of the first, like, widow takeovers in the Senate.
New band name, I call it Widow Takeover.
Yeah. And his son, Russell, became a senator later. And according to historian Mark Brewer, quote, we don't know where Long would have ended up. Certainly the assassin's bullet stopped him short of where he wanted to go.
The assassin's bullet.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.